Hey, if you're seeing this, that means that I had to put something random at the beginning of the video so that I can get past copyright. I promise the video is going to start in 30 seconds. That's when you know it's a good party. Like when your first step in, you dancing.
What you want, Mac?
2 minutes. That's all I need.
I wouldn't brag about that.
For real. What do you get when you put Kevin Hart, Taraji P. Henson, Sam Jackson, Terrence Howard, and Don Cheadle all on the same screen? A damn good show, that's what you get. What's up? It's Camille, just being me. What does that mean? It means I do what I normally do, I watch what I normally watch, and I record it because I needed a fucking hobby. And tonight we are going to be talking about Fight Night Million Dollar Heist. Now, if you've never heard of it, Fight Night is inspired by a true story of this notorious armed robbery that happened in Atlanta during Muhammad Ali's comeback fight in the 1970s. The story gained a bit of a renewed interest when Fight Night the podcast started back in 2020, and the story was so fantastical they adapted it into a series with this amazing cast. Now, if you were interested in following along, I just want to let you know that the algorithm is not going to recommend my videos because it hates me. So if you do want to check out the second video when it comes out, consider subscribing. You can always unsubscribe later, right? So episode 1 is a lot of setting up, so let's get right into it. So we meet our main character, played by Kevin Hart, and his name is Chicken Man. I don't know why his name is Chicken Man, it just is. And Chicken, he's a numbers guy, and if you're not familiar with what playing the numbers is, it was basically an illegal lottery back in the day. It was typically controlled by an organized crime family, and it was an easy way of making money without having to pay taxes on it. So guys like Chicken, the numbers guys, they would go out with their little notebook every day and go to around the neighborhood. They would get people's numbers, collect their money, all that kind of stuff. So as you can probably imagine, Chicken is one of those guys that knows everybody. So we meet his girlfriend, Vivian, and from what it looks like, Vivian was his partner in crime as well. It looks like their numbers operation was being run out of her house. One of the first conversations that we see Silky and Vivian having is the fact that Vivian's noticing they're not making as much money as they used to with this numbers thing. She's saying we need to start figuring out ways to make more money. She is the more grounded, realistic one in the relationship. Chicken, on the other hand, he's the visionary. He's got a plan because his boy Silky's coming to town.
Silky in town?
Yeah, he in town for that fight. You ain't gonna believe who this nigga working for now.
Who?
You ready for this?
Who?
I just want to take a second to jump off topic and say that I cannot stand when people do that. They ask you a question, you guess an answer, and then they respond with another question like, no, just tell me the answer. What I really hate is like the whole guessing game. Can we cap it out at 3 guesses, right? You come and you say, hey, Camille, guess what's behind my back? And I'm like, is it a rock? And you're like, no, that's guess number 1. Is it a pizza? No. Is it a horse? No. And after that, give me the answer. I'm not going to keep going until I get it right because at that point, I don't give a fuck what's behind your back. Sorry, that just really gets on my nerves. Anyway, Silky's an old neighborhood friend that moved to New York, and he now works for this guy named Frank Moulton, played by Samuel Jackson. And Frank is considered like the godfather of the crime family up in New York. And this crime family, it's called The Firm, and it kind of spans nationwide.
I'm gonna get Silky to introduce me to Frank, right? After you do that, well, naturally, I'm gonna do my thing. When I do it, Frank gonna want me to be his man down here in Atlanta. The next stop is the moon, baby.
So Chicken's plan to secure their financial future is they're going to go meet Silky, who's going to introduce him to Frank. And then, Chicken being Chicken, he's just going to charm Frank up. And then, boom, they are moving on up like the Jeffersons. I have known men like Chicken, and they can talk a big game. And when it comes to ideas, they have the best ideas in the entire world. But you know what? Ideas and results are 2 different things. Is Chicken a man of talk? Or is he a man of results? We'll just have to wait and see. But later that night, they do go and meet Silky at the Claremont.
And what you gonna do for a businessman like Frank?
Silky.
Emerson.
The show does have a lot of historical references. I'm a little bit of a history nerd, so I do want to take some time to point out significant places. The Claremont is a real place. It's Atlanta's oldest strip club, and it's still in operation today. I did live in Georgia, but I've never been to the Claremont. Apparently, it's like a rite of passage that once you're old enough to go to the Claremont, you go and you get some drinks and you get some titties rubbed in your face, and apparently you're a man. That's all it takes. So the gist of what happens at this club, Vivian and Chicken meet up with Silky. They're having a conversation, and this guy Emerson comes in and he kind of pulls Silky away. And we learn that he's talking to Silky about throwing an after party for the Muhammad Ali fight. There are all these gangsters, including Frank Moulton, that are going to be coming down to Atlanta for the fight. He wants to be the guy to throw, a cute little after party for after the fight.
What you think they over there talking about, baby?
Do I look like I got supersonic hearing, nigga?
Now, Chicken, he hears about this and he's like, wait, I can do this way better.
I'm thinking Black Vegas. Right here in Atlanta. Now follow me.
He pitches his own idea and Silky goes for it. Chicken gets roped into kind of fronting the cost.
Now who's gonna be footing the bill? Because it ain't gonna be Frank.
All I need is my investment back in another, what? 5%. Another 5%. Yeah.
But he does negotiate a 5% return on his investment. And more importantly, he's going to get that FaceTime with Frank that he was really hoping to get. But back to Emerson real quick.
No. This makes the plan even better. We got the perfect patsy now.
We learned that for Emerson, this was a setup all along. He was trying to get them to the hotel so he could rob them. But now that Chicken has decided to take over, they're still going to be able to rob him and blame Chicken for it. Another thing that we learn about Chicken is he's very supportive in his church.
He has graciously offered to finance the church's brand new roof.
Now, how did Chicken get roped into paying for a church roof?
Ooh,
so he living a double life. His wife and mother of his 3 children volunteered him. That's who.
My girl.
He forgot to add in the one of others part. My one girl of other girls. So Chicken's wife is the type of woman that kind of turns a blind eye to things that Chicken does. As long as he's bringing home money, he's taking care of the family, he shows up for church on Sunday, she kind of lets him do whatever he wants to do, which is why he has Vivian, the girlfriend, and the wife, and several other women. But regardless, he kind of explains the situation to her, that he has to throw this big party and he can't afford to pay for the church roof. She understands and we move on. Chicken and Vivian have about 2 weeks to get this whole party put together.
Oh, we the painters, man. We just came here to drop off some paint.
All right, keep that shit down there.
Thank you, Mama.
I ain't your mama, Jack.
They have to call all the different mob bosses and invite them. They have to get the money and the food and the girls and the music and the whole thing. So they're knee deep into party planning for the next 2 weeks. The next character that we meet is Detective J.D. Hudson. He was a real person. He was the first black man sworn into what they called the Patrol of Negroes on Duty in 1948. From that point, he worked his way up to detective. But as you can imagine, it was really, really difficult for a black cop in Atlanta in the 1970s. The community expected him to be like a beacon of change for black folks when it came to dealing with the police force. But on the other side of things, he's only one man and can only do so much, especially dealing with an extremely racist system. When he goes places, you see people talk so bad about him, calling him a pig.
Fucking pig.
But he does seem like the type of person that really just wants to do the right thing. It's actually kind of sad to see all the bullshit that he has to go through. So he's called down to Pascal's, which is this famous restaurant in Atlanta, to meet with his bosses and the governor for a special meeting.
You will be Ali's personal bodyguard during his time here in our fair city.
So he's been tasked with being the personal security for Muhammad Ali while he's down there. But number one, he's got other shit to do, like actual detective work and not babysitting a boxer. And number two, like many people in America at the time, he was not the biggest fan of Muhammad Ali, who famously refused to be drafted to go fight in Vietnam and chose to go to jail instead.
Loud mouth, talking trash. You know, when my number got called, I showed up, all right? I served.
JD did do some time in the military and doesn't really respect what Ali did. But the next day, he meets the rest of his security detail.
Hey, are we early or something? Because I only count 3 guys here.
So JD is only given 3 men for this detail, which is some bullshit. But anyway, Ali arrives in Atlanta and he does this press conference at Morehouse College before the fight. This is the first time that they meet, and JD and Ali do not get off to a good start.
Miss Clay. Miss Ali, I'm sorry.
Oh, and Mr. Clay, that's my father. You call me Ali.
After the conference, they start walking around the campus, and it becomes very obvious to JD that he's definitely going to need more than 3 men to keep Ali safe. So he goes to talk to his boss about it, and his boss is all like, sorry, I can't give you more people, but
you're the only one I can trust with this assignment.
Give him some more people. So JD realizes they're not going to be any help. He decides to take matters into his own hands. And so he takes Ali and his crew and takes them to a cabin in the middle of the woods, because it's going to be a lot easier to keep him secure there than to try to fight off all these crowds with only 3 people.
Listen, the champ is going to be in the main bedroom. Everybody else, I got cots in the garage.
Now, while they're at the cabin, JD and Ali kind of continue to bump heads until this one event.
Get up!
They're going to throw Molotov cocktails, because that's what people do.
They're throwing eggs, Ramel. I told you not to shoot.
Sorry, boss.
When it first happens, Ali is really upset that JD, didn't shoot anybody. He's a shoot first, ask questions later kind of guy. And JD, he takes the law seriously and he follows the rules. It kind of parallels the tactics between Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Kind of. Fast forward to the day before the fight. It's time to go to the airport and get Frank and Cadillac Richie. I hate that I know that Terrence Howard's crazy. I wish he kept that shit under wraps. Now, I know that Kevin Hart is supposed to be like the certified comedian in this, but honestly, Terrence Howard is the one that had me rolling.
I half expected his ass to cluck.
Now, on the way to the hotel, they asked to make a little pit stop. And the bodyguard and Cadillac Richie get out and they go beat somebody up and they chop their fingers off while Chicken and Frank are just sitting quietly in the car.
Can't steal no fingers.
Ew. Now, after being an accessory to attempted murder, Chicken drops off the bosses at their hotel. He goes over to Vivian's house and he runs into another problem.
Fuck you.
He gets kidnapped.
I am Javi Lopez.
Now, I'll be honest, this is where the story gets a little weird. I'm hoping with more episodes it makes more sense. So for right now, I'm just going to kind of talk you through this. But Javi is a small-time boss from Miami. He's not part of the firm. He didn't get invited to the party, but he did hear about it. Now, Javi has somehow figured out that since Florida and Georgia are next to each other, that they're neighbors, as he calls it.
I want a little neighborly courtesy.
Okay.
After the party, you pay me 50%, I think.
50? And that because of that, Chicken needs to pay him 50% of his earnings from the party. And if he doesn't, then Chicken is going to have future problems with the Puerto Rican mafia. So he goes to talk to Silky to see if maybe Frank can help get Javi off of his back.
Is your party is your problem.
Silky's no help at all. But Chicken learns that Frank's favorite actress in the entire world is Lola Falana. And guess who just happens to walk through the lobby of the hotel?
That broad's a dead ringer for Lola Falana.
That is Lola Falana.
So Chicken makes his way up to her room and he actually convinces her to meet Frank.
8 o'clock?
That little problem of yours, ease your mind. I'm a Hamlet.
I appreciate you, Mr. Mo.
He's like, oh shit, I did it. I did it. So he actually pulled it off. Lola agreed to meet Frank, and because of that, Frank agreed to take care of the hobby problem. Good job. So fight night is finally here. All the people that could afford the expensive tickets, they're heading over to the arena. Viv, she's at the house, and the party has already started. That's when you know it's a good party. Like when your first step in, you dancing. Now, first things first, Frank, he's a man of his word. He addresses the hobby problem.
Did you know this party Chicken Man is throwing is in my honor? We good?
Absolutamente, mi hermano.
Except,
You know,
you just had to keep on talking.
a long way from New York.
He about to get fucked up. Javi's basically saying that he's going to let it slide this time, but it better not happen again. A very kind of friendly threat to the godfather of the Black Mafia that I'm sure is not going to go over very well. Do y'all know each other? So over at the fight, everything is going well. You do see that there's this little weird exchange between JD and Chicken, but we'll get into that in the next episode. The party is well underway. Everything seems to be going great, and then this happens. Damn. And that was the end of episode 1. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I had to get my life together. My intention was to do 2 episodes per video. I wasn't able to do that. I've had to chop them all up a million times. But when I do release this video, I do plan to release episode 2, 3, and 4, like right back to back to back, so that we can get caught up. Please subscribe so that you know when the video comes out. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and watch episode 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Okay, bye.